Hey guys, what's going on? Sherman here. And I have a new knife to review for you guys today. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Viper Knives Start. Unusual name for a very unique knife. I imagine this knife comes in under the radar for a lot of people. A lot of people probably never heard of this knife company or this knife before. I'd never heard of the company until I saw this knife a few months ago in a review. They were brand new to me. And I ordered this knife pretty much right on the spot after watching the video because I was just that impressed with the design and features of this knife. And now since owning it, I'm just absolutely enamored with the quality for the money. So I'm gonna get the technical specs out of the way. I don't usually do that in reviews, but I'm gonna do that for this one. You know, got a new background, new reviewing style. Let's get to it. Blade length on this puppy is 4 inches, massive blade. Overall length is 9 1/4 inches long. Big knife. It's going into the realm of the Spyderco Military if you're used to that. Overall weight, however, is 6.4 ounces. It's going to turn a lot of people off. I don't mind at all. The model number of this knife is V5860CV. This particular model features the D2 steel blade and green canvas micarta. Now, other options of this knife, you get the black PVD coated blade in D2 steel, and they also have a bead blasted N690 CO steel version. Both models offer it in the green and black micarta. So you get a pretty good amount of choices. They also offer this knife in a satin finished N690 CO blade with carbon fiber handle scales. There's another version, I forget what blade steel it is, I think it's N690 CO, and they offer it in a Cocobolo handle scale design. Very nice. You get a lot of options with these knives, which, like I said, that is very cool. But you can only get the D2 and PVD coating, and you can only get the N690 CO and bead blast. So, just wanted to give you a heads up. Also, the only website that I've found that sell these knives are Blade HQ. So if you want to take a look at these, go on to Blade HQ. It's on their Nut and Fancy section. Alright, got that out of the way. I'm going to jump into this review by first talking about these beautiful micarta scales. As I said before, these are green canvas micarta, even though they're pretty much brown. I don't detect any kind of green in these scales. But I really like the contrast, because like I said, it does look very brown and natural. In contrast with that black blade, very sexy. The black micarta is just a little bit darker, really no difference in my opinion, but you do have two options. Now I like micarta because it's a natural material. If you're not familiar with micarta, this is a canvas micarta, and it is filled with, they just take the canvas and then they fill it with an epoxy, basically. And you're left with this very hard material to make scales out of. Now, like I said, since this natural material, it's going to absorb the moistures and oils in your skin, and it'll actually discolor. It'll darken in coloration and get moist. But when micarta gets moist, it gets a lot more grippy. Unlike most other handle materials, this gets more grippy the wetter it gets, which is very nice, especially given the applications of this knife being more or less driven towards the tactical aspect. This is a tactical blade. And I don't mean like the tactical as in, you know, it's a tactical lanyard, tactical glasses. No, I mean this is a knife meant for combat. In my opinion. You guys' opinion are going to differ, obviously. But I love micarta. I love the way this looks. It's held to the stainless steel liners with 4 Torx bits on this side, 3 on this side, and a bead blasted pocket clip, stainless steel. Very strong. I like it. It clips to the pocket very nicely. It's very easy to take on and off, but it still fits very snug. So no worries, and it's obviously a smooth surface, so it's not going to rip up your pocket. Like I said, it is a bead blasted stainless steel. This knife has stainless steel liners, full stainless steel liners. They're not skeletonized, as you can see down in there. One thing that is really nice about these stainless steel liners is that they're beveled. You can see that they're rounded. Very cool in my opinion. It is bead blasting, and carrying this over the summer, the scales got really wet from my sweat being in my pocket, but they did not get dirty, and the sweat did not seep through and start to corrode the liners. I already checked. so there is no rusting on those, so no worries there. It's apparently not that bad of a deep of a bead blasting, but I think it looks really nice that they beveled them. You have a stainless steel back spacer with a pin for a lanyard, but you can't get 550 cord through it. You can get a single strand of gutted 550 cord, but like this, you would never be able, you can't get that through there. So it's not the best lanyard attachment option I've seen on the market, but it is different. You can get smaller pieces of cord through there. I believe it's like 350 cord or something like that, or 450 I think you can get through there, but not 550 very easily. As I said, stainless steel back spacer leading to the stainless steel lock back. Very easy to use. It has some serrations right there, or I guess you can call it jimping. Very easy to disengage. I kind of wish it protruded more and had the Boyd dent like Spyderco lockbacks have. A little bit of jimping up top. Some of it's cut into the lock itself, the lock face, and the stainless steel liners. Not functional though, very slippery. So it's just more or less just there to say that they put jimping on their knife. But everything is rounded. You can see the light. It is all rounded, and the bevels of the scales are beveled. So everything's very nicely rounded off. I really like that. Really adds to the comfort of this knife. One thing though is that it's almost like they just cut it off right here at the butt end of this handle, and it left the micarta scales right there, and they're very sharp, and it kind of dug into my palm. So I just sanded it off with some 600 grit sandpaper. But that's about all I have to say about the handle scales. Very, very nice. You do have some milling right here, some cutaways, so that you can access the thumb stud with your thumb very easily. Ambidextrous thumb studs, which kind of goes to waste because the pocket clip is only mounted for tip-up right-hand carry, which is my preference, but I know that's going to alienate a lot of the audience, a lot of the collectors that are interested in this knife. So that kind of sucks, but like I said, you do get an ambidextrous thumb stud. The thumb stud, can't even talk. The thumb studs sit far enough away from the handle so you can easily get to them and deploy this blade even while wearing gloves, which is very nice. The thumb stud's very comfortable. You get a lot of grip with your thumb on them. Like, they don't look like much, but you get a lot of grip, and you get a very, very nice, secure, and reliable deployment every time. I've never been able to do that with a lockback knife before. The detent is just right on this lock, where you can just rocket it out without with just thumb action. You don't even really need any kind of wrist flick. So just wanted to mention that. Also, this is a very, very smooth knife. Rides on phosphor bronze bushings. Very, very smooth deploying, which I really like because that's very rare for a lockback in my experience. Very smooth deploying. Very sexy blade. Like I said, it has a black PVD coating, D2 tool steel, the Viper company, made in Maniago, Italy. Sorry if I butchered that name, but I'm not Italian. The name of the knife, the Start. Very sexy blade shape. I don't even know what you'd call it. To me, it looks kind of like a modified leaf slash spear slash drop point. It is really nice looking. But on this side, you have the M, which stands for Maniago, and from what I read in the book, that basically ensures that you're getting the highest quality control with this knife possible in Maniago, Italy. And that mark right there next to it, I believe, is the maker mark. I believe. The designer, I'm sorry. The designer of this knife is named Fabrizio Salvastrelli. Here again, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but I'm not Italian. So I believe that's his mark. But anyway, very, very nice blade. I believe it's hollow ground. I detect a very slight hollow grind, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. The cutting bevel is perfection on this blade from factory. And came Sharper than almost any knife I've ever received right out of the box. It was just absolutely razor blade sharp. But it's very, very thin behind the cutting edge. The cutting bevel is backed up just far enough. And the blade stock is really thin. You have a very, very deep, unsharpened swedge up top, which goes all the way to the tip, which makes the tip very acute, very pointy tip. One of the sharpest that I have on a folding knife. The only tip I think I have that's sharper than this is on my Cold Steel Braveheart, which is a fixed blade. But just absolutely wicked blade shape. Like I said, it's kind of reminiscent of a spear shape, but you have a very nice belly, which is going to aid in EDC cutting tasks. But also up top, the spine has a slight roundness to it as well. But it's very sexy blade shape. I've never really seen anything quite like it. So I really like it. It's very attractive to me. And like I said, since this, like I said earlier, this is not a very hard to use knife because the blade is really thin. This is obviously not meant for bushcraft. This is meant for penetration. Please keep the comments PG, guys. I know a lot of people are going to jump on my case for that one. But anyway, like I said, this is meant, in my opinion, to be a tactical folding knife because you have a 4-inch blade, as I stated earlier. Nice, comfortable, and ergonomic handle. And then you have that very thin blade. Just devastating design. Like I said earlier, the handle is very ergonomic. That's how it looks in my hand, and I have large hands. Plenty of handle to hold on to, even wearing work gloves. It's very ergonomic, almost reminiscent of the, sorry, hit the camera there. Reminiscent to me of a Kershaw trimmer, the way it's kind of pistol shape almost. One thing I wanted to mention though, the finger choil, the forward finger choil for your index finger, sits up higher. It's not cut as deep as even the portion right here that's meant for the rest of your fingers. Kind of know what I'm talking about? So my index finger seats higher than the rest of my fingers in this handle, which is the exact opposite on most knives that I'm used to. For example, ZT-0560, or 561 in this case. See how the forward index finger choil is cut very deep, and the rest of the portion for the rest of your fingers isn't quite as deep? So your index finger sits deeper inside the handle of the knife, which is what I'm used to. But it's the opposite with the Viper. Your index finger is going to be higher than the rest of your fingers. That's not a bad thing, but I just wanted to mention that because it is different. It has a different feel than most knives that I'm used to. But like I said, it's not a bad thing, it's just different. But this knife feels great in the hand. It's very warm feeling because of the micarta. It doesn't feel cold like you get with like aluminum, titanium handled knives, or even knives with G10 scales. It's very nice. You do get some natural grip from that micarta. Very well done. Just a very, very nice ergonomic handle design. No sharp edges, no hot spots anywhere. Now a lot of you are going to be wondering, where's the pivot point? Well, that's one thing I do not like about this knife at all. And that is you have to remove both scales to adjust the pivot point. The pivot point is right there underneath these micarta scales. And they're not normal Torx bit adjusted pivot point. You have to, it kind of looks like a barrel, and it has cut off straight edges on either side. And you have to hold on to one end of them with a pair of pliers, and then adjust the other side with another pair of pliers. It's hard to explain. I'll do a video in the future of me taking this knife apart and showing you guys. But not sure if I mentioned this earlier, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I carried this in the summer. And these liners being bead blasted, the sweat did not rust them at all. I have not noticed any spot rusting on the edge whatsoever. Being D2, that's what some people will expect, but nope, nothing. So that's very nice. D2 being high carbon tool steel, a lot of people kind of think that it's going to be a rust bucket, but not developed any spotting whatsoever with this knife, and like I said, I carried it in the dead of summer, sweat all over it, and nothing. And I've only oiled it once the day I got this. So I have EDC'd this knife a lot. Rides very comfortably in the pocket because it's slim. A lot of people might not like it that it's 6.4 ounces, but it doesn't feel really that heavy. It doesn't feel chunky. It feels just right to me. It's very well balanced in the hand, so it's no problem for me. Also, I don't know if I brought this up earlier, but about that much is going to be showing out of the pocket. It's not too bad. Could be deeper carry, but it is what it is. It's a nice clip overall. One more thing before I forget. The lockup is rock solid. There's no play up and down. Just the very slightest, if I really wrench it, the slightest bit side to side. But I do that on purpose to make this a smooth deploying knife. But no blade play, which is very rare. I usually get up and down play with my lockback knives. Just seems to be function of the design, but not with this. Phosphor bronze bushings inside there. Just gonna make that very smooth. Quick size comparison between this and another knife that a lot of people own that consider it to be a huge tactical knife, Spyderco Military. About the same exact shape, or about the same exact size, the Military being just an absolute slightest bit bigger. And then ZT-0561. To wrap this review up, I highly recommend this knife. Its fit and finish is incredible. You have perfect centering, smooth deployment, came razor sharp out of the box, no blade play. The scales and the liners and everything match perfectly. They're beveled. Everything's nicely beveled on this handle. It's just, this knife is incredible. It is made with great attention to detail, and it's just incredible quality, especially for the price that I paid. And which leads me to the last part of this review, and that is the price. In my opinion, this knife is a bargain. Blade HQ, as I said, is really the only knife website I've seen that sell this knife. You can get it on the Nut and Fancy section for $139. That is an incredible price. $139 for a big, beefy knife, the 4-inch blade, black PVD coated D2 blade with micarta scales. That's a steal in my opinion. That is a great deal, $139. A lot of people's idea of a bargain is going to be a lot different. But I think you guys know that knives of this similar design and materials are usually a lot more. Now the N690 CO version is, I believe, $133 shipped. This is $139 shipped. Even the carbon fiber version is only, I believe, $160 shipped. So you do not pay a whole lot for these knives. So that, in my opinion, makes them a bargain. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Alright guys, stay safe, stay sharp, and God bless. Sherman614, peace.